Hi everyone, Dr. Kate here. I'm resorting to using my phone to record this because I've done it 3 other ways and the audio isn't coming through. So this isn't amazing, but it'll get the job done for our September 20 class. So you know how I like to give little updates, and my dog PETA, which stands for Pain in the ASS, just had a birthday. So for her 3rd birthday, I got her some dog treats for a girl, Pink, and I gave her this little outfit to put on. And normally when I do that, she goes into an immediate depression and almost is catatonic at the thought of putting any type of sweater or anything on her beautiful self. So I was only able to do about a 2-minute celebration. So here's my capture of it. She just had a treat. You can see her licking her chops there, after which she immediately took off the outfit, which I retrieved for next year's extravaganza. I was able to go, and this is a great show, AGT Live at the Luxor. I have a connection with the dance captain there through the years of her and my daughter dancing in Wisconsin together. So I took a couple of my new friends here in Vegas to that show, and it was amazing. I've already seen it, I think that was the 5th time, but I'd highly recommend it if you maybe want to do something entertaining for an evening. Now, I know that we talked about expiration dates and how, that doesn't mean you necessarily have to throw out something past the expiration. This, however, is an example of how my husband doesn't really pay attention to these things. He was making us tacos last week, and he did his first. So he was sitting there eating, and then I went over and was getting my keto-friendly egg wrap as a burrito and putting, the meat in, and I looked at the bag and I could see it was green cheese, which, isn't the best. So I took a picture of that expiration date in July, and it was an open package. That's the last time he had used it, was probably early July. So it's been a good while sitting there in the refrigerator. And I said to him, that cheese is moldy. And he glances at his tacos, looks okay to me. I, however, despite not really being one to throw things away, said see ya to that cheese and got a new one. That's my husband for you. I did spend time last week in Wisconsin with my daughter Danielle, who I have a picture of here, and I know I've told you she suffers from bipolar disorder. We did have a couple of good days where we went to an outdoor botanical gardens and also an indoor, they call it the Domes in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where they'll have like a desert theme and so on, like different domes have different plant life and flowers as themes. And then it went all downhill right after that, unfortunately. But I'm grateful that at least a couple days were pretty positive. Now, prior to the Packers game on Sunday, my niece and I went to a neighborhood grocery store to pick up some things like cupcakes with Green Bay Packer little rings on them for decoration, and so on. At the checkout, this caught my eye, and this really does sum up Wisconsin, which has quite a high drinking rate as well as I think, more bars per capita than anywhere else in the country, if I'm not mistaken. And so this bottle's sitting there, which I'm holding. It's plastic, clearly meant to look like alcohol, like vodka or something. And then the picture on the right is to show you that it's actually sanitizer, like hand sanitizer, and they proudly boast with alcohol. So we got that going for us. And yeah, that's Wisconsin really in a nutshell. I was surprised how cheap it was, $3.99 for that big bottle, hand sanitizer or not, but there you have it. And that really does sum up Wisconsin. I'm part of a group called Mesquite Club. It's a women's organization, actually nationwide, and the chapter in Las Vegas is, I think it was established in 1911. Now, I was in charge of an event that is being held this evening that I'm unfortunately not able to go to because my husband's still being in the hospital. Well, this picture and the caption, not created by me, either one really, kind of sums up the spirit of that event. We were doing a planning meeting for it, really this might be a couple months ago already, and the caption of basically like, for a good time, call these people, kind of reminded me of what might be on a, like, restroom wall or bathroom stall or some such thing. But these ladies, I alerted them about what's going on with my husband. And in fact, yesterday had come home from the emergency room, which I'll get into in a second, to try to start making the pulled pork, which was one of my things to do, and is on the menu as the main thing for this event tonight. And a couple of the ladies here just said, just unplug the crock pots, just stop, we'll drive over and get it, we'll take care of it. I've talked about working the problem and doing workarounds and so on. And as I mentioned in the announcement that I posted recently, that I'm just not going to quit on anything. I'm not going to just say, oh, well, I have other things going on, so, you guys figure it out yourself. So instead, like I said, I went home yesterday, and I have a bunch of decorations and, this food and other things that had to go to the meeting tonight. So I was putting those all together. The two nice ladies, came and just took it all from me and said, you just take care of what you need to take care of. We'll handle it. But again, I wasn't going to just be like, oh well. So they don't have a main course for this event. That I think there's going to be about 36 people at this welcome back event tonight. So just got to take care of things, and I really don't take no for an answer, so I'm sure it will go well, although I wish I could be there given how much work I put into this as the part of the organizing committee. So we were in Summerlin Hospital yesterday. My husband had, in my absence, not been feeling well the last few days, but didn't really let me know that until he said, call me with a text when I landed. And rather than picking me up because he felt he wasn't able to drive because he was lightheaded, I just took him as soon as I got a lift back to my house. Yesterday, walked in, put my stuff down, said, let's go, put him in the car, and then we were in the emergency room. I think all told for him, before he was admitted, to an actual bed in the hospital proper, was probably like 8 or 9 hours. I don't know, kind of lost count at that point. So I was basically driving back and forth, taking care of my dog, as I said, with the while he's sitting in the ER, taking care of some other things like appointments that were supposed to be happening in our home, and so on. I took this picture, which I thought was kind of amusing in retrospect, because he was eventually placed in this fast track area where there were chairs set up and people who were going to get admitted were there having tests run on them occasionally, and eventually were going to be brought up to their room. So I was thinking to myself, well, if that's the fast track area, what's the slow track? Because it took so long. So I assume the slow track is the morgue. I'm not really sure about that. In any event, he's now waiting for a couple things. One's called an EGD, which is where they put a camera down and they're trying to figure out, they assume he's bleeding in the upper GI, but need to have confirmation of like where is the bleeding coming from. And they believe it's upper GI because the blood as it leaves through his stools is black. So that means it's been oxygenated, and so that means the bleed is further up for that to happen. And he'll be having a colonoscopy today as well. And he is, I believe, going to have a blood transfusion and also some cardiac tests, though the GI stuff is taking precedence at this moment because he has a low hemoglobin level. So, of course, helped with Mr. Google to look that up, and indeed he does. His reading is below the normal range for a man. So that's all going on. I was over to the hospital this morning, and I was like, well, I got to record this, so I'm just going to drive back and do my thing, and then pop back over there to the hospital and see what's going on after I finish. Now, Module 4 is a difficult, I think, module compared to others. You're going to see, and I just took a screenshot of it, when you click on the lecture videos, 2 come up. Now, they're not super long, as videos go, but it's, the content, unless you're aware or have had statistics classes, just may be pretty unfamiliar territory for you. So listen to those videos. One is the making sense of uncertainty, and the other is data and public health, meaning how public health uses data. And we'll try to, talk about those. So give it a shot. Listen to the videos. They also have the 2 PowerPoints which are exactly the videos, so I don't know if you really need those or not, but they're also posted there. So what is on board this week, or on tap, is that you need to have made progress with The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. On Thursday, the plan is, assuming I'm able to come to class, that I'll break you up into groups to talk about the book, but also talk about social determinants of health, which is a very key area in public health, trying to figure out, outcomes, like health outcomes, and how there are different outcomes based upon various demographics, such as race, ethnicity, such as possibly income, socioeconomic status, SES that it's called, or education level, and so on. There's a video when you go to this discussion question number 4 called Book Talk. There's a video there about social determinants of health that you should take a look at. And if all goes well and I'm in class on Thursday, I probably will also replay that, because that's the basis for the questions that you will be discussing. And so it's important that you take a look at the questions ahead of time that are in the discussion question and formulate some of your answers. You don't have to do every single question, although there's nothing wrong with doing that. But when you are put into groups, God willing, on Thursday, you need to have something to talk about. So it is the beginning part, and look at the syllabus for where you should be at this point for Henrietta Lacks. And we will ideally give it a go on Thursday in doing a discussion based upon partial reading of the book. And honestly, that's all I have for right now, so I'm going to end this and post it. Have a great day.